And we continue with the Advent series with the fourth Monday of Advent, December 19th. I recently bought a title for my friend Chris and presented it to him during Thanksgiving dinner. It was something I thought would be quite amusing, and it was. I was watching a Kings and Generals video the day before and they promoted established titles. Apparently, you can buy a square foot of land in Scotland and they plant a tree as part of reforestation efforts. I mean, even if the title part is silly, it's still nice to be part of an environmental cause. I presented the certificate to Chris and he was amused. He was now Lord of the Manor and he did technically have land in Scotland. I mean, why would Kings and Generals lie about that? Lee, however, seemed keen on trying to one-up Chris. "What's higher than a lord?" he asked me as I was sitting on the couch in a semi-conscious state after eating 2 plates of ham and turkey. I don't know, a duke? I barely got the words out. "Alright then, Chris, I'm a duke." "I'm not sure you can even purchase that title," I replied. But he didn't appear to be listening. He seemed dead set on becoming a duke, but that could have been the turkey and or alcohol talking. Later, I found a coat of arms generator on Google and just randomly created a coat of arms for Chris. A shield with a red and yellow background and a dog sitting there. Seemed fitting. He does have 2 dogs, although they're white and not brown as on the coat of arms. When I got home, I went back to the website and created a coat of arms for myself and Lee. Figured I'd give something for the guy to chew on, as he wasn't a lord, unlike Chris. I'd asked Lee what animal he'd want on his coat of arms, and he said either a lion or a dragon. I settled on lion, as the dragon option was limited and looked pretty weird. Dragons were rare to begin with, but the design they had was bizarre even for me. In the muddled state I was in after ingesting turkey, ham, casserole, yams, Brussels sprouts, pecan pie, and 2 glasses of whiskey. This was a little over 34 hours since my last Thanksgiving dinner with family, where I had pretty much the same thing. As I sat there deciding on whether to edit part 4 or 5 of Emerald Curse, I began to think, maybe the poor fella does deserve to be a lord. He made such a fuss over it, I thought, right, maybe he ought to be on equal footing with Chris. I mean, I did give him a t-shirt that said proud to be Polish, and then he dropped a bombshell saying he took a DNA test recently and learned he wasn't actually Polish. So, right. Talk about irony, then. I'd only found out recently he was Greek on his mother's side, but I didn't see much in terms of proud to be Hellenic on the Coles website. I suppose I could get him a plot of land in Scotland. I mean, that way he'd be able to lord it over Chris. And I had let it slip that you could purchase 5 square feet of land, but I'm not made of money. I'm not about to shell out $80 or whatever just so Lee could lord it over Chris and say, "I've got more land than you." Although, if I did, it certainly would make an interesting conversation. Screw it. I'll get Leah's title. What about Chris's title is a Black Friday special, so you could buy 1 title and get 1 free for $40. So I got 1 for Chris and another for myself. So we're both lords, but I didn't mention that. I'm a man of the people. A Republican. I can't be seen traipsing around town demanding people bow and scrape before me. Although I'm not opposed to wearing a ruff. As I sat there, staring at the coat of arms I designed for myself and Lee, I began to watch Kings and Generals again. I always find myself watching those videos when I'm hammered and in my underwear at 2 in the morning. I was watching videos of the 30 Years' War and thought, I might try making videos like that. I devised a scheme where the 3 of us formed the Triarchy of Lords. Chris as the Lord Paramount, Lee as Cardinal-Duke, because why the hell not? And I as the non sequitur, a title bestowed upon me in 10th grade. So far as of this week, the Triarchy have fought a series of 5 wars over control of the Catawba River Valley, Charlotte, the low country of South Carolina, and the Uwharrie Mountains. There's still a lot to be fleshed out, but it's devilishly fun to just contemplate on the 3 of us just traipsing around the countryside with armies marching behind us. Lee, being pseudo-Polish, would have a cavalry army composed of hussars. I would have a pike army, due to my fascination with the 30 Years' War, and Chris would have knights because why not? There's more to it, and I plan on fleshing it out further. I've started watching videos on the English Civil War, so maybe there's a war where the Emperor of the Carolinas goes to war with the state Congress and becomes a slogging match. More to come. All this came about because I got Chris a title as an early Christmas present, and Lee wants to be a lord like Chris, so they could both be on equal footing. I mean, when we started the conversation, Lee was content to be the court jester, and I, secretly lord, was content to be this Rasputin/Svengali minister. The conversation certainly deviated from there. Maybe it was the booze or the food or both. I get that it might be a scam, but it was well worth the money to see Lee react the way he did. Best $30 I ever spent. Now, when we go to the Carolina Renaissance Festival next year, we'll be strutting our stuff as 3 lords. And a lady. Steph, by default, is the lady of the house.